If it wasn't possible to control the fact that you are playing your best game or starting to tilt, then esports team around the world wouldn't have started to hire mental coaches. As a player, you win by doing right analysis on certain patterns that happen during the game. In this video series, you will get a method to analyze patterns that happen in your head. This will give you an ability to control your tilt, fear, motivation and confidence, which will obviously result in you winning more games. Meet Jared Tendler. He's a licensed mental health counselor and performance coach who works with a lot of poker players, including some of the best in the world, to help them eliminate tilt, improve focus, excel under pressure, play in the zone more often, and much more. He wrote a popular book called Mental Game of Poker, where he shared some of his techniques that everyone can use in order to get better in terms of psychology. I read this book, tried his techniques on myself, and realized that everything that is being said can be used by any esports player. Even author himself used following words in his book. You can apply techniques described in this book in other areas of your life: sports, business, investing, personal or family relationships. Alright, but how can you understand do you have psychological problems yourself? Here are a few questions that you can ask yourself. Do you change your proven tactics depending on your short-term results? Do you always think that your opponents are playing bad or get lucky and never notice when they did something well? Do you feel yourself bad when you did everything right but still lost? Do you take close to heart in gaming relationships with other players? Do you believe that if you are playing bad, you need to take a break or change accounts in order to play a few games against weaker players? And probably the most common issue among esports players. Do you feel frustrated when bad players play badly and even attempt to exclaim them what are they doing wrong? If you answered yes at least to one of the questions, it means that you have to improve yourself in terms of psychology. In this video series we will talk about 4 basic psychological aspects: tilt, fear, motivation and confidence. Obviously there are more of them, but working on the basic aspects will improve others too. So, let's figure out how exactly can you do this. A wrong approach to the learning process and gaming itself can be a cause of psychological problems. When a player knows what to expect, he doesn't create additional problems for himself. Instead he acts within the framework of objective reality. Tilt, fear, motivation and confidence problems can be resolved through more accurate understanding of the learning and gaming processes. So, in this video we'll talk about 3 learning theories that are going to be a foundation for improving our game psychology. Here are these 3 fundamental theories. Adult learning model describes 3 different stages of the learning process. Inchworm shows how exactly your improvement happens over time. Process model helps you to constantly play your best game and improve over time. Adult learning model identifies 4 main levels of learning process. Level 1. Unconscious incompetence. You don't even know what you don't know at this level. Remember those times when you just opened the game or decided to play a new champion, or a new strategy, or new position on the map. This is when you are at level 1. Level 2. Conscious incompetence. You know what you need to learn at this level, but it doesn't make you better. You just know that you need to get better at a certain champion combo, or timings of your buildings, or exact spots in your position. Usually you get to this level through self-analysis or advice from someone else. Level 3. Conscious competence. If you got to this level, it means that you worked hard on acquiring skills that you wanted to get. You've repeated certain skills so much that you can execute it flawlessly. However, there is one downside. If you want to use skill you've learned, you need to think about it. If you won't think about it, you will play like you don't know about the skill. Level 4. Unconscious competence. This is what we are aiming for. This is what every sportsman wants. Being at this level means that you know something so well that you do everything about it automatically, on your subconscious level. What can we learn in terms of our in-game psychology from this model? If you are a lower tier player, you shouldn't complain about something being imbalanced and broken, because most likely you are at level of unconscious incompetence and just don't know where you're lacking. Conscious incompetence is something that you should always strive to get. You need to be able to find flaws in your gameplay and fix them. Problem here is that the better player you are, harder it becomes to do it. Conscious competence is very tricky. A lot of players think acquiring it means they mastered skills they've been working on. As a result, they stop working on the skill, while in fact they need to do the opposite. They need to focus on the skill even more, because they're almost done learning it. Unconscious competence is a holy grail. If you are working on something, work on it until you will realize that you are doing it without even thinking about it. If you will be able to get all basic skills of your game into unconscious competence level, you will become unstoppable. People with high ladder places in the game are there because they have successfully done this. Usually people think that their skill is a dot, and usually this dot is represented by your league, MMR number, or something of that sort. What you need to understand is that your skill is the math vector. For example, take your last 50 games. Now think about how well did you play in them. You will quickly realize that you haven't played similarly in all of these games. In some of them you play badly, in some well, and in some alright. Another thing that you need to understand about your skill is that it has natural range. Think about the last 50 games, but this time ask yourself, in how many of these games did you play badly, in how many did you play well, and in how many did you play alright. Let's represent this in the form of graphic. One axis will be frequency of your games at a certain skill level, another axis will be skill level. What you see here is called Gaussian curve, and it shows quite clearly that most of your games were played at alright level, while amount of good and bad games is kind of equal. This is a natural range of any sportsman in the world. You will always have bad, good and alright games that are distributed like that, even if you're Faker, Michael Jordan or Simple. You might ask, but what is the difference between good and a bad player in this case? Difference is where your Gaussian curve located on an axis of skill level. Now let's talk about why is this conception called Inchworm. Take a look at how this guy moves forward. He fixates his front legs and starts to move his back legs, effectively arching himself, then he moves his front legs and continues like that. This shows that the most effective way to move your Gaussian curve forward is to focus on the worst part of your skill range and improve aspects of your game that have the most obvious weaknesses. When you will eliminate these weaknesses, your curved line will take a step forward, starting with the tail, and now it will be easier for the front end to take another step. You might ask, but why can't you focus on reaching your maximum in one of your strengths? It's a great question to start talking about two most common mistakes in the learning process that might lead to the frustration and other psychological problems. Ignoring weaknesses. Players often focus on learning new things and ignore their own weaknesses or even trying to hide and protect them. They don't move their tail. Because of it, their Gaussian curve gets less and less curved, which means that their skill range expands. If you will find yourself in this state, you will experience following things. It will take tremendous effort to play your best game, so you will play it rarely. Basic mistakes will haunt you literally everywhere. You will feel that your game is no longer progressing in terms of results. Most of the information that you will get will be in the stage of conscious competence. This means that the moment when you will get tilted or lose concentration will be a moment when you will start playing shamefully bad. This might lead to you losing self-confidence. You will start questioning everything that you know about the game. You will start to get worse and worse. In order to not get into this state, you just need to work on weaknesses in your gameplay, especially in your basics. Get your basics onto unconscious competence level and start working on more advanced things from the head of your skill range. This approach will allow you to remain modest and, in addition, this is the most effective way to make progress. Comparing your best with your worst. When you are tilted, not motivated, or just had a streak of loser games, it is hard to keep calm. What can help you in such situations is your ability to notice that you are getting better. Problem is that players tend to compare their recent worst game with their recent best game. Difference between them might be so big that you will easily get demotivated. Also, let's not forget that you can't compare apples and oranges. Then why are you comparing your best and worst? We've already talked that in a stressful situation, you only use things that are on unconscious competence level. This means that when you will analyze your worst game, you will not only see what you did badly, but also what did you do well. Forget about things you did well, you've mastered them. They are at unconscious competence level. Focus on things you did badly. Comparing current and previous worst games will help you to make sure that you pulled the tail of your Gaussian curve and your range has narrowed, which means that you will play less bad games. Even if you are losing some games right now, because of the unlucky and controllable things, you will still know that you got better, which will help you keep yourself motivated. Process model. Process model helps you to approach the game and training time in a more organized, active, responsible and efficient way. If you will use it for a long time, you will improve your ability to learn and achieve new results. process model consists of the 5 parts that are constantly interacting with each other: prepare, perform, result, evaluate, and analyze. Your goal during prepare part is to get yourself into a state that will let you to start playing at your peak form right from the start. You should feel energetic, motivated, and fresh. Every player has own rituals in order to prepare himself to the match. Here are some ideas that you might use. Think about your long and short-term goals. Think about the strategies that will help you if you will encounter your common in-game and psychological problems. Meditate. Visualize. Listen your favorite songs. Get your hands and brain ready by doing some basic in-game exercises. Your goal during perform part is to show your best game. This is why you should never review your gameplay during the gaming session. You will have time to do it later. When you are playing, focus only on the gaming process. You shouldn't try to do two things at the same time. However, you need to feel difference between adjusting to opponent's style and reviewing your gameplay. Ideally, you should understand process of adjusting to the opponent so well that it should be on the unconscious competence level and happen automatically. Otherwise, you are no different from a player that is blindly trying to make random and game decisions, instead of doing what he learned during the practice time. Results part is needed so you can record your results after the gaming session. Usually players set up looking at number of wins and losses, and this is fine, but you should also track quality of your results. How well did you play overall? How well did you concentrate on the game? How well did you control your tilt? Evaluation part should happen right after you ended your session and got your results recorded. Don't think about your win-loss ratio much. Instead, here are a few better ideas on how to evaluate your game. Take a look at difficult situations and check out what decisions did you make. Count on how many games you played well but lost, because of the things that are out of your control. Take a look at how things are progressing in areas you are currently working on. This applies both to the game skills and psychology. If you are going to analyze your games later, take some notes about them, so you won't forget your thoughts. When you spend at least a little bit of time evaluating your game, you get some other benefits. You stop thinking about your game at the end of the gaming session, so now you can focus on other areas of your life. You reset your mind, so it works better during your next gaming session. Analysis part is the best time to take a close look at your own gameplay and gameplay of your opponents. It is also a time when you study additional resources to get better. You don't need to do analysis right after the game. Moreover, often it is better to take a break after the game before proceeding with deep analysis. There are a lot of ways to do analysis part right. Watching or reading guides, talking to other players, hiring a coach, comparing your gameplay to the pro's gameplay, tracking your statistical parameters. When you will find your problems, don't forget to adjust your pre-game routine on your next gaming session, so you start working on them. This is the first video of the series dedicated to tilt, fear, confidence and motivation. Today we got our basics down, so in the next video we'll be able to start talking about how to work with emotions, so you can win more games. Subscribe and click on the bell to not miss these videos. Please leave a like under the video if you found it useful, it helps me a lot. I read all comments on my channel, so if you have anything to say, don't be shy about it. Any constructive criticism, presented in a respectful way, is welcomed here. Also don't forget about my Discord server, connection linked in the description, and follow my Twitch channel if you want to watch me play. Have a nice day.